Amelia stepped inside. The air felt heavy, different. Dust motes danced in the dim light filtering through the grimy windows. Her new apartment. Charming, they called it. Old building. Good bones. She felt a shiver crawl up her spine. She set down a box, its weight comforting. A faint humming sound, barely audible, seemed to emanate from the walls. She shook her head, nerves. It was just an old building settling. She would be fine. The apartment was spacious, with high ceilings and dark wood floors. But something felt off. The silence was too deep, broken only by the creaking of the building. She unpacked mechanically, each item a small victory against the growing unease within her. Night fell. Shadows stretched across the room, twisting familiar shapes into menacing forms. The humming sound returned, stronger now, a constant low thrum. Amelia tried to ignore it, focusing on the flickering light of the TV. A floorboard creaked in the hallway, her head snapped up. Silence, just her imagination, she told herself that. But her hand trembled as she reached for the remote, turning up the volume. A cold draft snaked across the room, raising goosebumps on her arms. The air grew thick, heavy. Whispers seemed to dance on the edge of hearing, gone as quickly as they came. Amelia hugged her knees to her chest, fear a cold knot in her stomach. She needed the bathroom. The flickering fluorescent light cast a sickly pallor over the room. The old cracked mirror reflected a distorted image of herself. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing in the silence. As she reached for the towel, her breath hitched. Scrawled across the mirror in what looked like blood were 3 words. "Get out now." Panic seized her. This was no prank. This was real. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. She had to get out of there, now. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers trembling so badly she could barely dial. Trapped. No signal. She cursed, her voice a choked whisper. She tried again and again. Nothing. The phone slipped from her grasp, clattering to the floor. She was trapped. The humming intensified, vibrating through that floor, up her legs, into her very bones. It seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. A low, guttural growl seemed to join the humming, sending chills down her spine. She backed away, fear paralyzing her. Her back hit the wall, cold and unforgiving. She was trapped, alone with whatever was making those sounds. Her breath came in short, shallow gasps. She couldn't breathe, she couldn't think. A shadow detached itself from the darkness in the hallway. It coalesced, taking on a vaguely humanoid form, tall, skeletal, with long, sharp claws. Its eyes, glowing red embers in the darkness, fixed on her. The humming reached a fever pitch, a deafening roar that seemed to shake the very foundation of the building. The figure advanced, its movements jerky, unnatural. Amelia squeezed her eyes shut, a scream trapped in her throat. This was it. This was how she died, alone in this horrible apartment. She waited for the end, for the touch of death's cold embrace, but it never came. She opened her eyes. The room was empty. The humming was gone. Silence pressed in on her, thick and heavy. Had it all been a hallucination, a product of her fear? She didn't know, but she couldn't stay here, not another minute. She stumbled out of the apartment into the hallway. Her hand, shaking uncontrollably, reached for her phone. Still no signal. She pounded on the door opposite hers. No answer. She was on her own. She ran. Down the stairs, out into the night. As she fled, she could have sworn she heard a faint humming sound following her, calling her back. To what? She didn't know. And she didn't want to find out.